7 people died in 5 weeks because drivers ignored the same symptoms I'm about to show you. And 2 of them were 4th graders on a school bus when a 365-pound wheel broke loose and came through the windshield. These are 11 hidden signs of a failing wheel bearing that mechanics catch in seconds. Stick around for number 3 because that is the one that sends drivers burning through ABS modules and sensors before anyone figures out what is actually broken. Before the countdown, sit with this number. Babcox Research data shows 24% of bad wheel bearings get discovered during brake jobs, and another 19% surface during alignments. Nearly half of all failing bearings walk into shops disguised as completely different problems, and number 1 is the trick that separates a real mechanic from everyone else turning wrenches. You just paid for new rotors, but the brake pedal starts pulsing again, sometimes in weeks, sometimes in months. Most drivers blame cheap parts or a bad shop, but here is what gets missed. If your wheel bearing lets the hub move even 0.02 of an inch sideways, that small movement is enough to tilt the rotor every time the wheel spins. That tiny wobble scrapes the pads unevenly, so you get vibration, rapid pad wear, and a brake job that never seems to last. Mechanics see this all the time. The real problem is not the rotor, it is the hub shifting under load. According to Babcox, 24% of bad wheel bearings are found during brake jobs, and another 19% are found during alignments because the symptoms look like classic brake or alignment trouble. The takeaway? If brake pulsation keeps coming back, do not keep replacing rotors. Check the bearing, or you will keep wasting money until the real failure hits. Sudden, hard ABS pulsing at low speeds without a warning light can make you think your brakes or sensors are acting up. But here's what most drivers, and even some shops, miss. On many modern vehicles, the tone ring isn't on the axle or the sensor, it's built into the wheel bearing hub itself. When a bearing starts to wear, the hub wobbles and it changes the air gap between the tone ring and the sensor. Even a shift within the industry quoted range from 0.016 to 0.050 inches can scramble the sensor's signal, triggering false ABS activation, or, in other cases, setting off the ABS warning light. Shops often swap the sensor, but if the hub is the real culprit, the problem comes straight back. The practical takeaway? If your ABS light won't stay off, or you get random ABS kicks with no code, don't just blame the sensor. A bad wheel bearing can fool the system and your wallet. You notice your tires wearing in a strange scalloped pattern, edges feathered, tread blocks cupping on just one wheel. Most drivers blame poor alignment or a bad shock, but here is what slips past. A failing wheel bearing lets the hub shift ever so slightly, changing the angle of the tire with every rotation. That tiny movement scrubs the rubber unevenly, and the wear shows up on just one side, not both like true alignment trouble. Mechanics watch for that one corner pattern because a shifted hub is a clear warning sign. Shift. Next, the steering starts to feel numb or vague, almost like the front end is loose or the car wants to wander at highway speeds. Shops often chase ball joints or tie rods, but the real culprit is a bearing that has lost its precision, letting the wheel tilt and wander under load. As the problem grows, you might feel a vibration in the steering wheel, a buzz that seems like a wheel out of balance, but tire swaps do not fix it. Mechanics know when vibration, vague steering, and weird tire wear all line up on one corner, it is time to check the bearing before the damage spreads. Vibration. Touch the wheel hub after a drive and you might find it's much hotter than the others, but you don't need to burn your hand to spot the danger. Mechanics reach for a cheap infrared thermometer and check each hub. If one reads more than 30 degrees hotter than the others, that's a red flag for bearing trouble. Here is why. When a bearing starts to break down, friction climbs fast. The grease inside, meant to protect the bearing, begins to liquefy and leak once temperatures rise above 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That is when you will spot dark, oily streaks around the hub or a fresh splatter on the inside of the wheel. Sometimes you will catch a sharp, acrid smell, burnt grease cooking off as the bearing overheats. By the time you smell it, the bearing is well past the safe zone. This isn't just theory. When a Norfolk Southern freight train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, investigators traced it back to a single bearing that ran 253 degrees hotter than ambient before it failed. The result was a catastrophic derailment and national headlines. The lesson applies to your own car. If you see grease leaking or smell burning near a wheel, don't ignore it. A bad bearing can go from hot to hazardous fast. Checking hub temperatures with a basic infrared thermometer could save you from a disaster you never saw coming. At highway speed, a faint hum starts to build, steady, rising with the road but never matching the pitch of your tires. Mechanics know this is the moment to run the left turn, right turn test. Hold the wheel steady at 40 to 60 miles per hour, then gently steer left. If the noise grows louder, the right wheel bearing is under load and likely failing. Steer right, and if the sound shifts to the left, it is the left bearing taking the weight. This pattern is not a guess. It is a classic diagnostic move confirmed by industry guides and repair manuals. Most drivers wait for grinding, but by then, the bearing is already at the end. The hum, the change with steering, is your first and best warning. Miss it, and you are gambling with every mile. Recognizing a bad wheel bearing before it destroys your brakes or triggers faults. ABS warnings can save you hundreds. RepairPal lists bearing replacement at $343 to $504 on average. Independent shops often quote $250 to $500, while dealers can charge anywhere from $450 up to $1,000. CarTalk's Toyota Highlander example shows a real-world gap. $692 at a dealer, just $383 at a trusted independent. That is a 45% savings. That is the power of knowing the right diagnosis before you agree to the fix. No warning light can save you from a wheel that leaves the car. Miss one hidden symptom and the margin for disaster vanishes. Your bearing won't warn twice. Stay sharp, your safety depends on it.